This is Rges Pre-Algebra, lesson 1.20, and we're beginning a section on decimals. Before you move on, please make sure that you understand your fractions. Go back and review if you need to. Recall that you have learned to convert from improper fractions to mixed fractions and back again. You've learned to simplify fractions into their lowest terms, and you have learned to add fractions, subtract fractions, which both require a common denominator, and you have learned to multiply fractions, and canceling is the key skill to do that well and easily, and you have learned what it means to divide fractions, which simply means to turn it into a multiplication by the reciprocal. In addition, you have learned to understand what the complex fraction looks like, where you have a fraction over a fraction, and all you want to do is simply rewrite that to a division sign horizontally, and then proceed with one of the skills you've already learned. Now today we're going to begin talking about decimals and things to the right of the decimal sign, things to the left of the decimal sign, this will be over here to the left, represent whole numbers. Things to the right of the decimal sign over here represent parts or parts represented as decimals, okay? So if I have the number 2.36, this represents two wholes and a fractional part. What is that fractional part? Well, you need to understand your place values to the right of the decimal. The first place value would be tenths, so we don't have a ones place. Okay. Other than that, it mirrors what comes on the left side. Then hundredths, I'm not writing the TH in there. Then thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, etc. Okay. So if I see 0.36 over here, this means 36. I can convert it to a fraction. 36 over, what is the place value? Well, if I wrote a 3 there and a 6 there, it's tenths, hundredths. I'm in the hundredths place, so I am 36 hundredths. So to write 2.36 as a mixed number, because we have a whole component also, we're going to write it as 2 and 36 hundredths. So let's look at several of these. What if I had 0.3? I'm in the tenths place, so that is the same as 3 tenths. What if I had 0.03? The end of this is the hundredths place, tenths, hundredths, so this represents 300. I think you can see where I'm going with this. What if I had 0.003? I would say tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I just typically count over, and that equals 3 thousandths. Okay. If I said 1.3, again, that would equal 1 and 3 tenths. Okay. So they're asking you to be able to convert from the decimal form to the fraction form. There are two ways to write things, and we're representing wholes and parts in either case. Okay. From decimal to fraction is what I've just illustrated, and on the next page we're going to do from fraction to decimal. Okay. What if I have a fraction like 49 thousandths? I can convert something to a decimal. Okay, the question is, where does the 9 need to go? At which place? In other words, do I need any zeros? Well, let's think about it. This is the tenths place, the hundredths place, the thousandths place. So my 9 would go there, my 4 would go there, and I would have to put a 0 there. think if I were reading this backwards, I would read 49 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 49 thousandths, and that's indeed what I was looking for. So another way you could look at it is I have 3 zeros here. I want 3 places here. Okay. So if I have 13 hundredths, I have 2 zeros here. I want 2 zeros or 2 places here. And so I would write my 13 like that, 13 hundredths. If I had, let's see, 31 thousandths, I have 3 zeros here. I want 3 places over here. Write in your 31 and precede it by a 0. Okay, now let's make sure I understand. This is 31 hundredths, because I have 2 places, 2 zeros. This is 31 thousandths. I have 3 places, 3 zeros. Okay, so that is pretty much the gist of the section. Let's talk about one more little thing. What if I were to compare? Let's say I wanted to compare 8, 4, 3, and 0.85. Well, first off, I would need to convert them so that they are both representing the same fractional component. In this case, the largest one, 3 here, we're talking about thousandths. So this would be, I don't have to write it as a fraction necessarily, but I would want the same number of places. I have 3 places here, only 2 here. So how would I change 0.85 to 3 places? I would add not a 0 before the 8, but a 0, a trailing 0 is what we call it, or a 0 after the place. Okay, so 85 hundredths is the same as 850 thousandths. Now that they both have 3 places, I can compare them, and this one is larger than this one. All right. So the trick with comparing 2 numbers is making sure they either have the same denominator or the same number of places if I'm writing in decimal form.